As the legislative session enters its final month, one of the lawmakers' primary responsibilities is crafting a state budget, and that remains a work in progress. While Republicans in the House, Senate, and governor's office continue negotiations behind closed doors, House Democrats have unveiled their own spending blueprint for Oklahoma's government.
Just 1 month ago, lawmakers said they were making good progress on the state budget, with negotiators reporting they were about 80% in agreement on a spending plan for the next fiscal year. Of course, working out the details of that final 20% is where the really difficult task begins. Senate President Pro Tem Greg Treat says talks between the governor's office and the House and Senate are moving along, but there is no timetable yet for a budget announcement.
Our priority is to get the budget done correctly and policy done correctly. It's not a artificial time that we have to get it done by. Just the constitutional sine die of the last Friday in May is what we're still have circled on the calendar. Hopefully we can get it done quicker, but we're not going to have some artificial deadline before then.
Meanwhile, House Democrats held a news conference this week to present their own plan, even though they don't have a seat at the table during budget negotiations.
You may be asking, why is the minority party releasing a budget proposal? We feel it's very important to show what our priorities are and, frankly, to push the majority to fund core services at the level that they've promised.
House Minority Leader Emily Virgin says their brand new state budget proposal is an $8.5 billion plan, which would be paid for through existing revenues and tweaking the state tax code to reverse cuts to the income tax for high earners and eliminate the capital gains tax exemption with an agricultural exemption.
Oklahoma has the 9th most regressive tax system in the country, which means simply that our wealthier citizens are not paying their fair share. Our budget closes this gap.
The proposal focuses heavily on education, including a $1,200 teacher pay raise, another $1,200 raise for support staff, and adding $200 million into the school aid funding formula. Virgin says in order to make Oklahoma a top 10 state, as Governor Kevin Stitt has repeatedly emphasized, you have to invest like a top 10 state.
Last year's investment in House Bill 1010 was a good first step, but it was just that. It was a first step. The brand new state budget finishes the job that we started last year.
The plan also calls for reinstating the Earned Income Tax Credit for low-wage earners, providing a raise for state corrections officers and employees, and giving all state employees a $2,500 salary boost.
We know that our state employees are still paid about 20% below market value, and that our state is spending about $137 million each year in voluntary turnover rates. That's because we simply aren't paying what we should. And we see employees every day leaving their state employee jobs and going to the private sector where they can make more.
In the area of criminal justice reform, Representative Colin Walkie says their plan would provide $40 million in funding for district courts and another $40 million for district attorneys in order to stop the practice of relying on fines and fees from individuals.
Historically, the DAs have relied upon fines and fees to fund their services, which just perpetuates the endemic problem of criminal justice overpopulation here in this state.
One area of special importance is health care, which Representative Cindy Munson says is in crisis, especially in rural Oklahoma, which is why Democrats are calling on the legislature to accept federal dollars to expand Medicaid.
Hospitals have closed across our state, and access to health care continues to decline because of our failure to accept this expansion. So that's why accepting the federal dollars for Medicaid expansion is a main focus of the brand new state budget.
Medicaid expansion has been a tough sell among Republicans, and Governor Stitt has repeatedly stated his concerns about accepting federal dollars, citing a fear that the federal contribution could be cut in future years. Pro Tem Treat says talks are ongoing on how to better expand access to health care.
Reality that Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act is not going away has probably set in a more meaningful way. And the threat to access to healthcare, especially in rural and underserved urban areas, is a reality. So we're still working on that. Don't have an agreement on it yet.
But Virgin noted that most of the Republican proposals to expand Medicaid have included adding work requirements that could deny health care access to some Oklahomans.
If those plans come out with things that simply serve to kick people off of their health insurance that they just received, then we won't support those plans. We want to insure as many people as possible.
Advocates of expanding Medicaid have filed an initiative petition with the Secretary of State's office to put the issue on a statewide ballot if the legislature is unable to come to an agreement.